Hello boomers, it's Paul here. I'm going to cover off on Internet Explorer today for the boomers in the world who have just got their laptop or their tablet that is, and are running Windows version 7, maybe a 8 or 10. If you've got 10, you're probably being forced to use the Edge, but Internet Explorer should be there still on that version of Windows. But for most people getting started, I recommend you get hold of Internet Explorer, and this is how we go about it. If it's not already on your desktop, and as you can see this is a fairly clear desktop, we hit the Start button and then we go to Programs, and if you scroll down the list you'll find Internet Explorer. Now it's quite simple to create shortcuts, which is just what it says, a quicker way to get access to things. So if you click on it and hold it and then drag it up here, and at the same time hold the control key down, it's important to hold that down. It'll put a plus sign there underneath the arrow which says it's going to copy it rather than move it, and that's something you need to know for a lot of stuff that you do in Windows generally. Then let go with the mouse and it should just pop up an icon there. There's other ways of getting to the same thing. You can go to the search bar and type in, say, Explorer, or start typing it in, and it will come up in the list there, and you can choose that. Now we've got access to it, let's start her up. Double click on the desktop icons and up comes Internet Explorer. Now if it's not already been set up, you're going to get some sort of default page. In older versions it would come up blank. In newer versions it tends to pop up what you see here. Now let's just configure a default page, and we'll do that first. Okay, we go to Tools, we scroll all the way down the list to Internet Options at the bottom and pull it up, and we've got About, in this case Newsfeed. Typically you'll find that in older versions it'll come up with that, which is just About : which will come up with nothing on the screen. We're going to pick the obvious world famous Google, if I can type, .com. No, can't type today. And we're going to say apply that, and then say OK, and that'll bring us back to this page, which is the default, and then we'll exit it and go back in. And now it's pulled up a Google default page. Now to go searching around the web, you usually pick your search engine, in this case Google, and you type in something and hit enter, and up it will come with a list of items that you can now click on to see further details. If you like what you see, you can always add it to favorites. For example, if we click on favorites right now, we've got nothing in there. It's just the default settings. So if I wanted to save this particular item, I'd say favorites, add to favorites, and it'll give me a box saying that you want how you want to name it and where it's going to stick it. If we go back into favorites, Google is now at the bottom of the list. Now, Internet Explorer is the default browser that comes with Windows. I recommend to use it because it is fairly quick at loading, and it does seem to work in most situations. There is a lot going on behind the scenes though. You've got your usual File, Edit, View, Favorites, Tools and Help on the top here. If you scroll through each of these, I can explain some of them that probably help out in your day-to-day operations. If you're coming over from an old computer, you may actually have a series of exported favorites, feeds, or cookies that you may want to import into this browser from your previous one, and it would have to be Internet Explorer. You can send a page, so if you found something you want to send to your relative or a friend, you can send the whole page or just the link, which is this address bar address at the top, and if you click on those, it will tend to want to bring up an email program for you to send that off. You can print pages, and you can open new tabs, duplicate tabs, etc. from the file menu. Editing, there's not much to do in the editing. It's more of a read-only type of application. View, there's numerous ways of configuring your Internet Explorer. It defaults with the menu bar on, but if you have a series of favorites, you can save them in the favorite bar, which is not just the favorites, but it's a subset, and you can turn that on and off here. You can go to your home page, this spot here. You can stop a page from loading. You can refresh a page, and you notice they use the F key function keys. This one's worth knowing, F5. On laptops, you may have to hit a combination of the an F function key and the number 5, but generally on a keyboard, it's the F5 key will refresh the page. You might want to use that if the page gets stuck. You can zoom in and out. Now, zooming in and out is actually very useful for us who our eyesight's not so good. You can do it that way on the view option, but there is 2 keyboard strokes that you can do. If you hold down the control key and hit the plus, it will bring it up in size. If you hit the minus beside it, it'll go down, but you have to hold the controlled key down as you do that. There are quite a range. You can go really tiny, or you can go quite large. So for those of us who are getting on in years, those are useful. Same with text size. You can also increase the text size to largest, for example. I'm not sure how that will show up on the screen here. Let's try it. Oh yeah, it took Google.ca up a few notches. I'll leave it there. Ignore encoding. It's typically Western. Unicode. Default style, I wouldn't worry about those for now. And of course, the F11 will take it up to full screen. So if you hit the function 11 key, it brings it up and takes away all the external borders. If you hit it again, it goes back to where it was. So, as we said with favorites, you can add them. There's various sub bars. There's your favorites bar here, and you can do organizing of those favorites by bringing up this little window and then creating new folders, moving them around, renaming them, deleting them. It's not very comprehensive, but it does. If you stay on top of it and set it up as you go, it won't cause you any problems. Tools. There are lots of tools. The ones that are important I'll run through now. Deleting browsing history. Now if you're on a limited space computer, then you might want to see about having these set. It typically comes with about the first 3 set, which is to preserve favorites, website data, temporary internet files, and website files, cookies, and website data. Those are usually checked, and if you hit the delete, it will clear those out. If you click all the rest of them, it will also clear those out as well. This is version 11, I believe. Yeah, Internet Explorer 11. I do recommend you get the latest version on your computer. There were versions in the past, versions 7 and 8 and even 9 did have problems with loading certain pages and security issues and stuff like that, but those seem to have been solved over the years. We'll go into some security issues later. Right, tools, deleting browsing history, and if you hit that, it will then clear things out. And it is good to do that periodically. You can set it to do it automatically when it exits the the browser. I don't find much use for in-private browsing or tracking protection. View downloads is a good one to do if you're pulling a file down, some sort of video that you or something that you wanted to keep, or some from one of your accounts online. Control J will bring up that, but this is a clickable, and it brings up this box which went off screen. Sorry about that. And it will list here all the files that you're downloading, and you can hit this clear list which will remove those references. It doesn't delete the files, it just removes the references from this list. Let's see, pop-up blocker. You can turn it off, which will then allow pop-ups to come up on the screen. It's turned on right now, which means it'll prevent pop-ups from coming up on the screen most of the time. There's some smart screen filters. Manage add-ons. Well, for just starting off, I wouldn't go into this area for a while here. Here's a legacy. Windows XP and older versions used to do their Windows updates through the browser, and if you click on it today, it's actually correctly routes you through to the internal update mechanism that's now built into Windows. And let's see. Yes, I don't think there's anything else there. Now you can get into Internet Options. We went in there earlier just to set the default page. It comes up on the General tab automatically. There is again a lot in here. For browsing purposes, you may not want to make too many changes at this point. Now, browsing history. Let's just go into that one. Now there's again more tabs. This is about the temporary internet files. This is the caching area where it stores everything that it shows on the screen, and it'll save that information in there up to a certain size. Now, it's allocated at about 250 megs. That's probably ideal for most people. You can also view the files that it's stored. And that will be here. All down here is all the images and so forth that have been stored. You can move the location of it. And let's see, you've got some options here and automatically start. Here we go. History. I've set mine to about 20 days. I think that's the default, but if you want to remember a lot more things, just increase the number of days. Caches and databases. There's not much in this area you want to be concerned about. History is good. If you don't want to keep history, take it down to 0. And make sure you've got enough space to store everything. It will tend to drop things off automatically. Now, there's other tabs here, and we'll go through, let's see. Let's do the security tab. You'll need to at least know where this is, even if you don't know all the options. There are two that you may want to remember: the internet and trusted sites. Trusted sites are typically ones that start off with HTTPS, and you may want to add those sites in, like this one. If you trust Google, you'd say add it into there, and so forth. This one happens to be my server, so that's why it's already in there. Trusted sites will come up occasionally and prompt you to add to trusted sites. If you don't get a website that loads, you may need to come in here and manually put in that trusted site in order to load that web page. Internet Explorer, again, allow levels for this zone. It's set at medium high as a default. You can change that and drop it down to medium or custom level, but that will mean you need to know in depth what sort of options to set in this list, and I wouldn't worry about it for now. Leave it at medium high unless you start getting problems. in which case problems with certain websites. If it's a website that you know you can trust, drop it down to medium and then apply that. Yeah, I don't think there's anything else. There's connections, which we don't need to worry about. Advanced tab is the only other one. Again, it's a lot of details in this area. You don't need to go in here unless there's something specific that you've been instructed to go change by some online account that you go into that says that you need certain settings changed. Doesn't happen as much as it used to, but it still occasionally happens. And you've also got, I'll just go in there one more time. If you ever get problems with your browser, maybe you've had a virus and it's attacked the browser and has left it in some sort of corrupted state, Internet Explorer has a reset button, actually two. You can restore advanced settings and apply it. That will reset everything in here. I'm going to cancel out of that and go back in. Or you can do a reset on the whole browser. This will take it back to factory default settings, if you like. And if you click the delete personal settings, it will also remove those as well. Typically you just need to hit the reset button, and that will just reset everything in the browser back to its defaults. It recovers itself, basically. There's no need to go back online to Microsoft to download the browser and reinstall it. That should get you past any viral issues that you've experienced with the browser. One of the things that people tend to do who like to attack private individuals' computers is to attack the browser. Now, as for browsing itself, we've got a new tab here. We're on the Google default page for searching engine. I don't have any preferences, whether it's Bing, Google, Yahoo. Let's see if we can pull up a new tab here, and we can do search.yahoo.com. And there's Yahoo's search engine. You can then put this one in as a favorite. Add to favorite. Yahoo search. And now we go back into favorites, and there's two there. So now we have two search engines. And as for safe browsing, if you have a need to go to a particular website, I recommend you type it in here at the top directly. I'm not pushing AVG antivirus for any particular reason. It just happens to be the one I've always chosen, being the quickest to type in. And if I get there fairly quickly, then I know the browser's working just fine. And they have free version of antivirus. If you have a new computer and you haven't considered that yet, just at least stick this one on your computer. I'm not making a recommendation here. I'm just saying that you need an antivirus program of some description. So browsing, always go into your into options. Just doing AVG again. Now we've got a whole list here. I'm just going to bring this up full screen. Lots of AVG options, and as you can see, some of them here in green don't look legit. It says AVG, it says antivirus, but it's not avg.com. This is the legitimate website. This is a website that is commercial and is trying to lure you to it to pull their product down, good, bad, or indifferent. But this is the source. So whenever you're typing something in, it is often the best way is to type it into the address bar directly, avg.com. You don't have to use the www most times, and that will be the safest way to browse. It takes you straight to the website. Clicking on these, unless you're paying full attention, you're going to land up going somewhere one day that you don't want to go. And if that website is a malicious website, it may immediately try to install something on your computer to take control of it, or install some sort of spyware, malware. That's the basics on running the Internet Explorer. hopefully you've gotten something out of that, and if you have further questions, leave me some comments in the at the bottom of the video, and I'll try and get back to you as soon as I can.